because the major labels took these AI companies, they sued them.
Yes,
Yeah.
to finish this point though.
Now they've partnered with them.
They've partnered. It makes sense that they partnered with them because if they were outsiding them, like this is a moment of change for the industry. If they're going to outside themselves, they were immediately a threat to be overthrown.
No, of course. I think and they've learned this in so many different eras, having gone from physical to digital, having had Napster and all the other things that's happened around piracy. Geez, don't look so excited all at once, both of you. So, welcome to the first episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. It's a new podcast that I've decided to start now with my two friends, Sketchy and Kevin. And we're basically going to be talking about AI and music. It's something that's close to both of us. And I wanted to get both of your opinions on it. So I think maybe let's just start with a quick intro. Kevin, what do you do? What are you about?
So I am a product manager in AI. I build AI apps for a living. I've done many jobs, lived many lives in my past, and this is just my current one. So it's super exciting. It's a really exciting time to be in AI and really keen to talk about this hot topic of AI in music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a musician myself. So I make music, I DJ, as well as I also promote music. So I work with other artists, other labels, promoting the music and trying to work out how we can use AI to help promotion as well as creation and all of this exciting stuff we're going to dive into today.
Okay, so I have to ask the question that I think most artists are afraid of, and it would be interesting to hear this from both your perspectives. Do you think AI is killing music? Kevin, let's go with Kevin.
You.
I don't think AI has killed music. We've got a lot more music than we've ever had before. Right. So how is AI killing music? Something that I've heard, actually, I think I heard it at a Linkin Park concert before. I'm not sure exactly which artist it was, but I think it was Linkin Park, where they said music is about the music. It was always about the music. And musicians that think AI is killing music, when there's so much proliferation of it and creation of it and new creation and new creatives coming out, maybe they're missing something with this.
So maybe the better way to frame this is, do you think AI is killing creativity in the music industry?
I think it's enabling everyone to be more creative.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think a technology can kill human creativity.
Okay.
I think human creativity is innate. It's there when you are born. And I think if AI is used in creative ways by humans, it can actually help more humans to be more creative.
Okay.
That's just my take on it. Obviously, there's a whole lot of legalities, copyright, things that come into that. But I don't think it's killing creativity.
So you know more about this. What is the bar to make a production grade song? How expensive is that process, or how complex is that for anyone to just want to get into?
Right now, the bar is pretty low because you can buy production gear for next to nothing. But obviously, it takes years of experience to know how to mix a song, how to produce a song, how to record drums or whatever it is. I think this just gives people that don't know that, or even fast tracks that process so that you can, if you have something in your mind, you can probably create it.
Yeah.
So, but Sketchy, don't you think, just from your perspective, that kind of makes music then more accessible, and then it means that not everyone's creating the high standard that we're perhaps used to? Because I'm looking at the AI stuff. I work obviously doing music promotions, and I often see things that I think are a little bit mediocre or same or nothing really truly special about it. So in your process as a musician, how are you using AI that you think would be helpful to other musicians that actually have a musical background to enhance it, as opposed to kind of creating something that might be seen as mediocre?
I think right now, as I said, the tools are available. Besides the AI, you can get a mic, you can get a laptop, and you can get a DAW and make music. Making music is not something that's difficult to do right now. So you're going to get a lot of bad music, and obviously that's up to interpretation.
Yeah.
But the AI is just another tool that's easy, making it even easier for people to make. So you're going to get a lot more music, but it comes down to taste, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, which is human.
I think that it's clear for me why you would say you're getting a lot of the same, a lot of the normal stuff, a lot of the stuff that you see every day anyway, because this AI music engine, you know, your Sunos, your Udios, your all these engines out there that are so famous are built on a body of knowledge that is historical. And if someone doesn't put in a lot of effort in that process, it's very easy for you just to go in and be like, hey, make the song. And it's done. And that's going to be the same as something else out there, nothing unique. You can always do that. And that AI has definitely made that easier. And I think that's what even in content creation, there's a lot more slop as well. Like any content creation has got that. So it's no different to any other form of content, any other form of writing as well. You can ask AI to write a book for you. And this is nothing new there. It's not interesting at all. It's about what the human's creative direction does and the tweaking and the thinking and the reflection and the feeling that you want to invoke in someone that makes it different. And you can also then go even layers deeper of, let's say you want to recreate a instrument that is long gone, right? Or that is kind of not within the public domain or not within the public knowledge or known today in the zeitgeist. You can do that a lot easier with AI. Because I imagine like if you've got an instrument that's not been used or not played, and you don't have professionals that do this, you can take that sound and incorporate it. And that's what's exciting.
I think also like what you're saying is true. And that's how you're getting the music that people actually might like. But at the same time, as you said, you can just type in a prompt.
Yeah.
And it can churn out something. And it might be good, but the vast majority,
the chances
is not,
are like the margin for error is like this.
So I mean, I get the process, and I mean, Kevin, I'd like for you to also discuss more about your song process because you've now started making music using, you know, a lot of your poetry and things that you do. But what I'm trying to get at is like, you know, we've gotten a lot of musicians that have created critically acclaimed works, right? It might not be our taste because, as you said, Sketchy's taste is subjective, but we've had bodies of work like To Pimp a Butterfly, to Songs in the Key of Life, so many critically acclaimed albums that were written and produced by artists, you know, using their own hand, brain, you know, without the help of AI. Do you think that AI will help people build albums that have that nuance of not just only human experiences and emotions, but also music that is interesting, like you're talking about like instruments and stuff like that? But I'm wondering, do you think that AI could possibly ever get to something like To Pimp a Butterfly, like Songs in the Key of Life, like even if we want to bring it back to more modern stuff like Brat and Sabrina Carpenter's Rise?
I have one question for you just to understand this. What is it that makes To Pimp a Butterfly, Songs to the Key of Life, Brat, what is it that makes them so iconic for you or so unique for you?
So it's definitely the songwriting. So if I'm looking at To Pimp a Butterfly, I'm looking at how Kendrick has written all the songs. He's had so many different multiple layers in his meanings of the raps that he writes, to the point that it never just has one singular meaning. Upon re-listen, you always discovering something new. The engineering on that album is also great. He's used so many different interesting sounds that
when you say it's him and his team, right?
Him and his team, yes. So his producers, the people that he works with. So I'm looking at it from a songwriting point of view, how to capture a human experience that I'm not sure, or trying to get your opinions on, how that computer or that AI is going to capture those human emotions, and also to be able to create music that from a composition point of view is interesting and people want to listen to it because it's fresh. It's not the same repeated drum pattern, like, you know.
For me, the whole thing, when I started making music, it was always about process. So the process is always been more exciting for me than the outcome. And for a lot of artists, whether it's in music or in visual arts or in any kind of art, the process is a huge part of is part of the art, right? Now, when you have the end product, that end product might be good, it might be bad, but people enjoyed the craft, you know, sculpting that thing, whether it's mixing it or getting these instruments. But sometimes for the listener, the end product is what's exciting. It could also be for the artist. Maybe that process isn't playing a drum, but it's getting AI to make a drum loop that is a beat that you came up with, or some writing that you wrote, or something. I think there's still human process involved right now.
sure.
And that's kind of where the magic lies. The magic is going to lie within the human being part of the process. Once you take it away, that's where you're saying, like, just putting in a prompt and maybe it's going to make garbage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you take away the human in the process, I think that's where you get bad art. But also, I've
It's
myself,
subjective, yeah.
I've myself put in prompts, and sometimes AI
But
has surprised
as
me.
always, art is always subjective, and music is an art. I think that there's two parts I want to comment on here, right?
Yeah.
The one is the process of making music, from my understanding, and you can help correct me. I don't know the whole process, but you can help me understand it better.
But maybe also talk
And
us
also
through
my
your
own process and what I followed. The point I want to make about the process of making music, let's say conventionally, because I don't think it's a convention, but let's say pre-AI and post-AI, and call it pre-AI conventionally. I think that Kendrick is not just making music alone in a vacuum, especially at the level at which he's at, and especially at the level of fame he's at. He's got a huge team, a lot of support. Definitely he's providing a lot of creative direction and putting energy into that, right? But there's a big team around him, masses of resources around him, big amounts of investment in that, right? And in that process, along the way, there's a lot of automation, right? If you think of auto-tune doesn't exist in the wild. It's something that's made that's electronic. Electronic editing software is not how editing was done, back in the day, let's say, of the Beatles, or even before the Beatles, right? It's been getting easier over time. It doesn't make Kendrick's album worse, the fact that it was easier to create this art. Now, what you're saying is right as well. Like, you have to be deeply involved in the creative process. And in order for you to truly do something or give an input that matters in that creative process, you have to understand it. So,
I think the thing that worries people is that they've tried out these products like Suno or Udio or whatever, and they themselves have just put in, make a reggaeton song about bananas.
and you can do that.
it-
You can
and
do
it
that. It'll
spits out
work.
something.
Yeah.
And it spits out something, and a lot of people are like, oh wow, okay, so this is how music is made.
Yeah.
And the problem is that for some people, they think that's the end. That's the end of where this is going. I think that perception is problematic for a lot of people because they don't understand that a lot of people that are using AI are not just using it in the prompting way. I know even musicians that are using it for mastering, for example.
Yeah.
Like that whole
I
process.
did that this morning.
Yeah, that whole process is a separate process. Mixing,
Yeah.
people are using it in the DAW, in the DAW.
Yes.
It's a lot more than just putting in, make a song that sounds like whatever.
But now explain this for like the everyday person that doesn't necessarily understand what we mean about talking prompts, right? Because the original question that I'm asking is, if I'm writing an album, so let's go back to, another example that's maybe more relevant for now, this time, the Brat album, right? And I'm talking about this concept of being in a club, but having all these kind of, intrusive thoughts
Yes.
come to your brain, right? And then you start
That's
to
the
question
vision.
about
That's the
that's
vision,
the
right?
vision, right? So how do I, and maybe like Sketchy, talk about it from your point of view as a producer, how would you approach it? And then Kevin, maybe give me the AI version of this. I'm talking about something that's maybe not really accessible to a lot of people. She's talking about like how she's wondering if she's going to regret having kids while she's in the middle of a club, or she's talking
But
about
those
the
feelings are
jealousy.
not going to go away with AI's introduction. Like, that's
But I
all
think
exists.
it definitely gets toned down and we lose nuances.
Yes. All I will say is, you're not going to make that album by putting in a prompt, make a song
Yeah.
about being in the club and thinking about whatever.
Because it's going to be so generic. It's going
Yes,
to be mixed with
that's
so
not-
many
you
things.
need to
and it's
have
also going to be
human-
too safe.
Yeah,
It'll be
you
too
need
safe.
human input, whether it's using AI or doing it in a traditional way.
So then how do we get the critically acclaimed albums that have been celebrated for not only their songwriting, but their composition from artists that want to use AI?
So I have some thoughts on this, having dabbled in it for a little bit, right? So I've been making AI music for a month now. Today was my first release, which was quite
he's
fun.
a spring chicken.
And
Why don't you plug your release so people
plug
go
my release.
Yeah, people go listen to it.
Maybe plug in a release
do
that's
it,
a
we'll do
little
it.
bit more
I think this one, not
refined.
this one. This was a test run.
Okay.
This was a test run. I wanted to get. Actually, it was quite fun. So like last weekend, I sat with my nephews and I had figured out this like AI music thing, and like I was like, hey, let's do this fun thing and make a song. And I made a song about like their life at home and like the chaos that happens with the house with 3 boys. And that was it was super fun.
What was that process like?
Oh, so like it was interesting, and it started with sitting with them on the phone and understanding from their perspective what life is like at home. You know, like because actually it was the typical normal morning. House with three male children that are under the age of 9. Chaos. One is very upset about something that he should not be upset about. One is doing something that he should not be doing, and then the other one is kind of like maybe keeping things calm. And I get there and I want to talk to them. I've got this idea, and my sister brings the oldest nephew of mine, and I was chatting with him, and I was like, yo, I can make a song. And he's like, oh, what should I make it about? And he's a bit nervous. And then he brings his brother and he's like, what should we make it about? And his brother's like, dodge the backhand. And this is not something that happens in the house, but like, yeah, it's like, listen, pay attention, behave. Like dodge the backhand, behave. So like they're going to dodge this. And I sat with them thinking about it. And I'm fortunate to be gifted at writing. I've written poetry for a long time. It's a way I emotionally express myself. So I sat with them and like they gave me one word and I wrote a bit of a concept. I played around with them. I'm like, hey, what else happens in your house? And I kind of put like they're skating on thin ice is something their mother says as well. And their mother says to change their face, like have a better attitude. And I threw that all into the song. And it came out as something that was fun.
But when you say threw it into a song, what do you mean?
No, I wrote it in the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then I thought of, okay, this dodge the backhand line is very catchy. So this is going to be the hook. Then we'll have kind of like some dance moves around that hook within that. The verses will have a lot of pieces around kind of just explaining the context. I then actually co-wrote some of it with AI agents that I made, right? So I made AI agents with different personalities.
Your co-writer.
Yeah, a co-writer, more of a challenger. So I made AI agents with personalities to take my creative direction and show me 4 other paths. And I'm like, okay, and often the first draft is bad. It is so bad. Like it's just so bland. It rhymes in the wrong places. It's writes in the wrong places. It's just kind of like, I have to tweak that a lot, right? But it's got great ideas sometimes. It randomly has like, so it had this thing that came out, chaos in the kitchen, shoes on the stairs. I'm like, I love this. Like, this is great to start the song with, but I picked that. Like I picked that from one example, I picked that from another one, and I had the hooks all
And
together.
how did you
put
put this
together.
all into the AI engine?
So then I took I had the songwriter, co-writer that I made, tweaked it, took the lyrics, put it then into one of these song-making engines out there. And the next step is actually super critical. I had to have a vision for the song.
This is the point.
I had to have a vision.
Yes.
I had to have a vision because I had the lyrics and I knew the kind of feeling I wanted to create. Also, I knew the kind of music they like. So I made the song for them, really.
What you're describing here
And I took
is
that
very
bit.
similar to being a producer. That's what a music producer did. If you look at somebody like Rick Rubin, Rubin's number one thing is he says he cannot play any instruments, but he's one of the biggest prolific. He's made classic albums. You're talking about classic albums. He's made classic albums, right? He cannot play music. He cannot play anything. He cannot mix. He cannot produce, master, but he's a producer. So what he does is he comes in with a vision. He tells this guy who's programming the drums, I want the drums to sound like this.
And he's going to tell him how to change it.
Exactly. And you're going to tell, maybe he's not writing lyrics, but this is your delivery. He did 99 Problems with Jay-Z, and he said, there's a famous clip of him saying that this is how the intro should sound. And he says it, and then Jay-Z says it back, right? That whole process is very similar to what you are describing.
So there's something that I see missing in all of this, right? Because I was focused very much, like my strength is in the lyrics. My strength is in the writing. And I'm not sure yet, but I think I have a sense for the vision. Though sometimes you do help me a lot, right? To understand where this should go. But it's a nice interplay. I think that example is exactly what can be missing. There's nothing like having a team of people with different creative juices flowing in this. Like when you have a normal musical process that you're saying about Rick Rubin, he's got one person who's on the drums. That drummer has his own sense of the creativity. The producer has their own sense of the creativity. The person who's doing the mixing kind of has a feel for it, and they're working along the way. So the benefit of AI is that it makes it a lot faster for you, but there's another area you need to learn, right? You can spend time learning what is it like to be creative as a drummer? What is it like to be creative as or a musician, like different parts of the musical? Or what is it like to be creative in the mixing? And that allows one person to apply their creativity in multiple areas. Also, other people to come in and help them with that. And I think that's what's exciting, or that's what really makes things happen.
I mean, if I'm getting like the sense from you guys, I think then what we're saying is maybe the future of music careers, like now, if you think about what each of us do and how we've played our parts in the music career, maybe eventually we're going to have music producers that work solely on AI, and then perhaps create demos and then send it out to, you know,
and invite people to collaborate. Maybe that could make sense, or send it themselves.
I mean, Sketchy, as a producer yourself, do you think that you'd get to eventually maybe kind of adopting Kevin's approach and then making demos using AI and sending it to other artists?
I'll tell you how I use AI right now. I work with a songwriter. He doesn't sing, and normally with that we would get a session vocalist to re-sing the thing. We literally sang the demo ourselves really badly, put it into an AI engine, and it re-sang it how we wanted it.
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal. And that saved
so
us.
It captured your the good thing about this, it captured your intonation.
Yes.
It captured your inflection. It captured your emphasis and pace.
It actually built a bit on it, and we could actually say, don't do that, and things like that. I don't think, like, obviously people have a problem with, like, especially artists have the problem of that people, they have the perception that you can just prompt something and make a hit. That is what artists have a problem with. But also I think a major problem is how these AIs work. And I think we should chat a bit about that.
Yeah.
How did they actually learn to play music?
Well, I mean, it's there's so many things going around, right? Like recorded music has been used supposedly to train AI models.
Yeah, there were
something
cases
that's
against the companies that are making.
Yeah, which is something that's considered
things.
obviously a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's fundamentally unfair. That if your voice is ripped from a bunch of songs and just used. Like, that is just fundamentally unfair.
But I mean, that is how a lot of people, firstly, I don't know if Suno or any of these tools would be as good as they are if they didn't learn from someone, because
let's just be open about it. They learned from huge amounts of copyrights.
Yes.
Right?
Well,
that's how they learned
the question
the music.
is this wrong though? Because if I sat and I watched YouTube videos of songs for every single day for like 6 months, and I learned a sense for music. I mean, Niquita, you're phenomenal at this, at a sense for music. If I learned a sense for music, would I be taking anything from anybody for learning that?
I think, so the problem is, right, when you have recorded... Okay, let's also just take a step back, right? I feel like in terms of the recorded music industry, it's one of the most almost disrespected in terms of piracy and copyright.
Of course,
because
yeah.
so many
It's
people
always under
are
threat.
so many people are just unwilling to pay for music in general. I mean, we know this, we're 3 South Africans sitting here. We know how thrive piracy is, right? Especially on the continent. So in general, the industry is quite disrespected in terms of not seeing the value that artists have put into making a song by actually paying for it, right?
Yeah.
So now by taking... This is just how I feel about it. But taking creative music or copyrighted songs coming from major labels or independent artists, anything that is being seen as critically acclaimed, and now training it to say, like, you know, for Suno and the other different platforms, what we're essentially saying is now that hard work is now being made accessible to other creators that maybe don't have the skill, don't have the passion, don't have the respect for the industry or the craft, and now they're able to make music that is as accessible, as great, because it's been trained on those models.
I want to take a different example. Outside of I think music can be a bit emotional, right? Because
Are you saying I'm emotional?
No.
right now?
Music as an industry, because it's art. Any art form has people that are very passionate, and people that are very passionate can get very emotional about things. And like, there are parallels that we can learn from to understand the same challenge. Because what you're telling me is that people today can make something of extremely high quality like this when before it was extremely difficult? And how is that fair? And it's a good point.
I think
and
that's a separate thing
Yeah.
because back to the copyright issue.
Yeah. No, the copyright issue is a red line.
You can I agree with your analogy, by the way, of
Yeah.
like I could sit for a million hours and learn everything and then be able to play every instrument in the world, right? Legally, like if I did that, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
I think there is a problem when it comes to the ethics of it, because what it comes down to is essentially these copyright owners, whether it's record labels or artists, are not getting compensated
Yeah.
for a it's not Kevin or Niquita or myself and learning this music or whatever. It's a huge company with huge investments that is then learning off other people's music, and they're not paying those
Yeah.
artists.
They're not paying them for the learning.
They're not paying them for the materials that it learned from.
Yeah.
Wait, so which are the materials? Because
The
The
recorded
copyrighted
music.
works.
to divide it, but copyrighted works is a combination of multiple things. So, for example, when I write my
It's
lyrics,
learning of recorded music.
but
That's
as an
what we're
example, when
talking
I
about.
write my lyrics, those are mine. I wrote them.
Yeah.
Right. If it's learning off various beat patterns, these beat patterns are like I don't think there are many artists that have just invented a beat pattern or
But
invented drumming.
a composition can be unique to an artist. And for example, remember, I think we had this discussion where I was telling you now that you're an AI producer, you need to have a signature or a tagline, right? And like Pharrell has that in a lot of his stuff, that you can hear a song that's been produced by Pharrell.
Beats
So the
can
problem
100% be
it
copyrighted. Just
be
to clear that.
No, no,
Yes.
like
It
no, no.
can
I mean,
be copyrighted.
I know that
I
the
know
beats,
that. That's
I
what
know
I'm
the
making-
beat
yeah.
patterns can be copyrighted, but it's like, is having a beat that's 1, 2, 3, 4 copyrightable? Probably not. But the way it's sequenced, how it changes, where it stops, where it pauses, how fast it goes, and where it holds.
Okay, let
That can
me just explain the two copyrights in music. There's recorded copyright and there's publishing. Recorded copyright is the recorded music. So if there is a kick drum and the kick drum goes like this, or there's a saxophone or whatever and it went like that, and it's on the recording, that's a recorded copyright. So you have copyright over a recording. Then you have the publishing side, which is the written side. The written side covers lyrics, so the way the words are formed in a sentence, and then it also covers melody,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? So how
the words are
ups and-
said.
the pitch of how those things are said. So you get top line, and those are the two copyrights. Those are the two main copyrights in music.
Yes.
Now, what it's saying is you have put in, you're talking about 4 kick drums, right? If you're taking 4 kick drums, what is the sound of those 4 kick drums? Do they sound like Avicii's 4 kick drums?
Yeah.
Do they do they take a learning from an Avicii recording?
But I'm keen to understand a bit more about what is a fair learning from an Avicii recording and what is an unfair learning from an
So-
Avicii. Because
No idea.
Avicii, an Avicii recording, yes, it exists. And because it exists, we can see, oh, this is a nice beat, but I want to tweak it in this way.
So here's the
Does
thing.
it become mine when I tweak it?
When I listen to the Avicii recording, maybe I want to make something that's like it. So I will go and I'll be like, okay, here's the kick drum. Maybe I'll put it through like some process and I'll make it myself. Okay. Now I've just done the AI process.
Wait, when you say you put it through some process.
yeah, so a process.
So we're
of
talking
making,
about Pro Tools. We're talking about actually
Yeah,
putting
I
it
would
into
make
music
this.
I
software.
make it- I make
not
the kick drum.
AI.
Okay.
Which AI could also do this.
This
It's
is
another
what, this,
tool.
This
that
is
could
what
do
I'm
it, yeah.
what I'm describing, but it's me, and this is what happens. This is how young producers make music. They've learnt by listening to other recordings.
Yeah.
But then, is that fair? Because must they not pay Avicii because they learned from Avicii?
This
Unless
is where
it
it comes.
gets to sampling, right? So
But let's not go to that. This is where it goes to the ethics of it, right? The ethics of it is that there's a kid that listened to Avicii or whoever it is and made a song. But now this is completely different. This is on a huge scale with a mega corporation doing it.
yeah.
Wait,
Now
what's
people
the,
want
what's
to
the
be
mega
compensated.
corporation? You're
The
talking
major
about
labels. The major
Not,
labels.
ma-
Oh, the
and
major labels?
No,
So-
I'm talking about like AI companies.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No,
The
but
AI
even then, I mean, this is the current state. I can tell you that in another few years' time, the pace of change of the AI industry is such that these, like we've mentioned 2 major companies doing AI music creation, this is all going to get very fragmented. There are going to be people that specialize in many areas. They're going to be, even today, what I would say is, as a musician and artist, it's probably the biggest time of opportunity for you.
But then that's why there needs to be some sort of regulation around
No,
compensation,
hold on,
especially
hold
for
on.
learning.
Hold on. I'm not saying that compensation for the music, okay, like we can debate the music and where it is and like this, because this can get deeper, and I think it's going to be difficult to know where the line is, right? And if we're following the same process that a young producer follows, it seems like it's right. But you're saying there's a big corporation. This big corporation problem.
I'm not saying it's right or not, but that's seems to be the argument that the major record labels, because the major labels took these AI companies, they sued them.
Yes,
Yeah.
to finish this point though.
Now they've partnered with them.
They've partnered. It makes sense that they partnered with them, because if they were outsiding them, like this is a moment of change for the industry. If they're going to outside themselves, they were immediately a threat to be overthrown.
No, of course. I think and they've learned this in so many different like eras, having gone from physical to digital, having had like Napster and all the other things that's happened around piracy. But just going back to the compensation thing, right? Like the reality is for artists, it's either feast or famine. You have you can't, if you don't have a hit record that's paying enough money for you, you need to have another job. You can't exactly live off of being just making music if it's just successful.
What does it take to be an artist?
What do you mean? What does it take?
What is it today? So like, let's say pre-AI world. What does it take to
have
be
a
an artist?
successful record?
No,
I mean,
but what does that take? Like, can you
terms of
can
sales.
anybody, what skills, what capabilities?
Sales, not skills.
No,
sales.
what skills, what capabilities, what kind of person makes a good artist? Generally, like not. I know it's different, but
A good artist is somebody that makes good art.
Yes, that makes good music.
very-
that-
but they have
that-
some edge, right? They surely have some
Well,
edge.
They
that's
can make
also
good art.
changed over time, right? I mean, we've had people that like, especially with different evolving genres and how like the pop girl used to look, for example, in the 80s versus the 90s versus the 2000s. I think what is a good artist has changed over time, right? And it's
but they've
also
got
about
a spike somewhere, right? So like, for example, they might be excellent at creative direction. They might be excellent at lyrics. Like you can't
No, but I
make
think-
good art if you're not leaning into your strengths, right?
you are leaning to your strengths, but I think that also there's a lot of other manufacturing that's happening around it, right? So it's also about growing your audience, growing your fan base. What am I speaking about?
Also,
Do
your
I buy
support
into
team that helps you do that.
Yeah,
of course.
so am I looking at this artist and I'm not just saying, okay, I really like their music. Maybe I also like, how they perform live. Maybe I want to buy their merch. There's so many different things that make a good art.
Something I'm getting to with this is that an artist that spent years perfecting their craft has got something unique that they know that they can share with the world, and they can help people do like them. And they should think of how they can use this AI opportunity to make that skill
But I
accessible
think
to the
that we
world.
don't necessarily want clone copies of everyone. Like there's
It's not a
Bruce,
clone copy. It's about the process. It's about, because the other person will always bring their creative intent. It's almost
So-
like, imagine I could go and collaborate with Avicii today. We could take his works
I
and
think
make
the
it into something
process
like
is
that.
not the problem. That's not what artists and labels have a problem with. They have the problem is back to the point of what I'm
Yeah.
talking about is how did this thing learn? And the fact that all of us are having different opinions about it is a major problem, because then there is no solution. And I think, like, especially like with these labels, they took they took the AI companies, they sued them, right? That case would have taken years.
Of course.
Right?
And the AI companies would
And
have
nobody-
continued in the meantime.
Yeah, and these artists are still not getting paid. So what's happened now is they've done a partnership. The partnership is going to, if it works out the way it's supposed to, have some kind of way for those artists to be compensated.
So which artist should be paid and what should they be paid?
Oh,
That's like, this is
so-
something I'm not sure about. So
Ye-
something that's interesting that they're doing is they're trying to tackle this with attribution technologies, right? Where they're trying to say, okay, this song
learned from Taylor Swift.
learned from Taylor Swift. But here's the challenge. If you did your process of making music, learning from Avicii, you would not have shared your royalties with Avicii.
And it comes down to what company is making the money off it.
So this is probably not a
But-
workable direction. Like, it's just probably not a way that. So then it
It's
becomes
not
like,
a workable direction, but that is what's going
it's
to
an
happen.
interesting direction. But what I would ask you is, who is the artist that should get paid? What is it that they should get paid for? Because right now, if you learn from Avicii, you're not paying for learning from Avicii. So why in the future should they pay for learning from Avicii?
If I could go back to what I was saying about compensation with regards to these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? These companies have learned from recorded music, right? At the end of the day, we need to create more opportunities for artists to monetize. Otherwise, it's feast or famine for them. They're never going to be able to earn proper income from their music, and that's really important. We should have the way film has kind of an appearance fee or or how we kind of treat royalties almost. If a creator has used Suno, let's say, and I'm making my music and I'm saying I want to make it in the style of Avicii, right? If that is a thing that labels and other artists can monetize off of, they should be able to,
That's
right?
like create a marketplace within these platforms like Udio, Suno, all the other future ones that come.
I think it's actually going to be implemented is there will be data from where right now in Suno you can't say make a song like Avicii. You can't put an artist name.
You can say make it in the style of, and you can say you can in the terms of voices and how
Really?
people do.
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
So if I, you can't.
I don't
They'll
think
block, they block you. No, they
No,
block you
now
from doing
they've done that recently because I remember when we were making your songs, we were
We
looking
tried
at
this,
it now.
but now it's
there
very
are
like
still
it's been blocked very soon after I started.
yes.
Yeah, but basically, if you're making a pop song and you're not going to say make it as Taylor Swift or whatever, but if the thing is you got data from Taylor Swift, has got it from these recordings, if that is worth $1, that $1 gets split between those. It's very simple to do.
Something I can point out here is like we should always be willing to learn from what's happening outside, and it's very interesting the parallels I can see with computer programming. Because I work within the space, right? Like developing apps all the time. And the parallels I can see in the music industry. Programmers are, interestingly, like if you think of them, they're not artists, but they're also problem solvers, they're engineers, they've got a skilled craft. And this skilled craft is being replaced by AI every day. Like every day it's like, oh, you can use this app. And interestingly,
100%.
this industry, it's celebrated versus the music industry, it's like, not at all. And it's very similar. It's these people
are
that
programming
work,
the tools to replace themselves.
yes. and it's like the music, like these people know that this is taking what they learned in their life and what they failed through and toiled through for years and turning it into one prompt. Now, if you look at the same thing, your idea is also out there. You look at platforms. There's these platforms that are doing computer programming chains where you've got one process, and you link them together. How programmers that maybe are losing their programming jobs are feeding into this is they're coding single parts of these components. And this is similar to a musician's marketplace. You coded like a new beat, something that's fresh. You did one of these things where you went and got an instrument that's extinct and you brought it back to life. Put it on the marketplace, make it alive. And that's why like AI is going to just enhance this craft. It's going to make so many more options.
It's got a lot to do with the type of industry. If you look at the music industry historically, it's always been about, especially I'm talking from major label side. Major labels are going to find a way to monetize today. They're not really thinking about the next 20, 30 years.
So, but is the corporation that's the challenge the major label?
Yeah.
not the
I think it's
new AI company.
It's on both sides, and that's why they've partnered.
Well, that's not great.
I mean,
but like maybe
there's been streaming platforms partnered with majors as well. Everybody's partnered.
but also,
and
I
the
feel like-
streaming
I feel like
platforms are
you-
also supportive of the AI songs. There's so many songs, like, I mean, we were discussing this at work, so many songs that are sitting on the Billboard charts that are actually made from AI that Spotify and the likes are actively supporting, which, I mean, a few years ago, we were very against.
I do feel for artists that have anxiety for their livelihood being taken away from them and for something that was already a difficult place to get into becoming more difficult, because the introduction of AI makes it so much easier to make quality that they're going to be well it is easier to make quality. I didn't say it's easy to make quality, and I didn't say it's trivial. It is accelerating the process of quality.
Yeah.
Right? And that means that, or at the very minimum, so put the quality point aside, at the very minimum, there are more songs every day out than ever before, and that's going to get more and more over time, which means that the pie that was shared for all the royalty revenues is going to go down in general, and get shared among more people. So I feel for these artists that spent their lives perfecting their craft and banking on an industry that was a certain way, all of a sudden changing. That is scary.
I think I do also maybe disagree with that a little bit, because if you look at consumption on Spotify and all the other DSPs, right, it's still a lot of the artists that are big A-list artists that are getting most of the compensation, that are basically allowing for the other artists to exist on the platform, right? So by having the platforms overflooded with mediocre, subpar content, because anyone can just release music now, right? It becomes even harder for those that are independent, that don't have the big backings or the big name or the big fan base yet, to be able to have those. I mean, if you're looking at the industry right now, we're getting more and more one-hit wonders and less, artists that kind of have breakthrough moments and then go on to have careers that have longevity, where they release 6, 7, 8 albums and are still in good standing with their peers. So I think that at the end of the day, compensation for artists, even at the level of a major record label talking about their A-list artists, having those kind of legislation in place to enable those people to be able to make music helps the smaller artists at the end of the day.
I don't know if this whole AI movement is going to threaten an artist of the size of like Taylor Swift or Charlie
But it's going to stop
XCX
us from getting the next Taylor Swift.
I don't know if that's the case either.
I disagree. Right now, even if you leave the AI out of it, you talked about the problem with the streaming platforms. The streaming platform has the problem. The major label has the problem of not funding smaller projects anymore. They're not signing small artists and things like that. Those two, even if AI was taken out of the situation, that would still exist. Right now, whether you're using AI or not using AI, you still have to stand out as an artist. It's got to do with using social media. It's got to do with marketing. It's got to do with a whole lot of stuff beyond being great at making music. Whatever that means, whether you're great at making AI music or great at making traditional ways of making music, doesn't make a difference unless you are doing all the other stuff that's going to make you stand out. So for
there are
me,
a lot of underground artists that go like have these viral hits that have no online persona, that have no identity or necessarily
but there was still marketing that was done.
There was marketing that was done, but it wasn't relying on the artists themselves.
I want to come back to something that you raised, right? And I actually understand why something like this would happen, right? When you do, like, AI has got randomness. There is randomness in the way that AI works. Like you know that when you open your favorite chat app, ChatGPT, Grok, Gemini, whatever it would be, you type one prompt, you can type it 15 times in different windows, and you're going to get a different answer.
Yep.
There's randomness in this. And I talk about this concept of effective AI versus efficient AI. Efficient AI, and even in the music context, is someone came in and they typed in a prompt and they got an answer and they put it out there. And it's got a band like this in terms of error, right? So you've got over here slop, right? You got over here like one song that's like amazing and a one-hit wonder, and like it doesn't even need the marketing to go viral, right? And it just happens to hit the right notes for the society at that time. This is going to happen when you've got efficient AI. There is going to be this band that's just amazing all of a sudden out of nowhere, and this person is not going to be able to repeat this because they're following a process with a band like this. Then you've got effective AI. And this is something that I practice, which is how do you make sure that with this thing that's fundamentally random, every single result gets to something that is of passable, great, or excellent quality. And like that's the challenge. So it's like if you do effective AI, and effective AI goes to what you were saying, which is the process. Perfect the process, perfect the way it works, introduce the right people at the right points in time, and you can use AI effectively. If you're doing things quick fixes were never consistent. We know that in any industry in the world, quick fixes were never consistent.
I think just in terms of that, essentially, artists are going to have competition. That's why I said it's so easy to make music now. Like anyone can make music, right? So bad music will also come to the top. If it's marketed well. I've heard bad songs on social platforms.
I heard a song called Chicken Banana. It went viral. We spoke about this the other day.
It's a banger.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, these kind of questions and these kind of like topics are really important that they continue to have, because like already there's kind of this mystification about the music industry, especially for artists. I mean, I talk to artists every day that barely understand their royalty payouts, that barely understand how to use social media and stuff like that. And I think that AI is just making it more and more complex, that they need to understand perhaps like, you know, for example, their rights in terms of if their music is being used to train models or if it's being used in the style of.
But it's making it more complex and easier because now you've got something but you've got an AI system you can ask. You know, you previously had to find a lawyer.
No.
The AI system working as legal for that, it's not accurate.
It isn't accurate.
Yeah,
it isn't
it's not
accurate.
accurate.
It will get more and more accurate. Maybe what needs to be made are these AI systems that provide the counterbalance, right, for artists to help them. So
I think
yes,
it's going to happen
like
inevitably.
what you're saying is ChatGPT or your generic AI is not great. Yes.
Yeah.
It never is. It is for some things, but
You
it
make
never
a
is.
dedicated
It's
AI.
never perfect.
Yeah.
Right. What I do is for a living is make dedicated
AI.
apps that solve a specific problem consistently. Like I'm saying, effective AI. It's possible, good, or excellent. Now, something that we need to do is think of who's actually protecting these artists, because I'm not sure in these deals that are happening between the labels and the AI companies, and even like, so Spotify puts out there that they are protecting the artists. I don't know. They seem to be very for the artists. They seem to be, and that is their image. But who is truly protecting the artists at the end
The
of the day?
artist is always last.
Yes, and that's why artists need to be more empowered to be able to understand. Like I always say to artists, like they need to read their contract before they sign it. They should have a good manager and not your friend, your cousin, your uncle, that your manager, like someone that really understands the industry and what's happening. And the same so for AI, because what's going to happen is the more and more we get other usage and people sampling and editing songs and using styles of those artists are going to lose out. And I mean, you know, one of the final questions that I want to pose to you guys is just, you know, we've now feel like we're saying that music becomes, or at least AI has made the barrier to entry for music a lot lower. Like anyone can make a song now. But how accessible do both of you think AI is to everyone? Because right now, I mean, we're sitting in Dubai. We have also kind of certain sorts of understandings having worked in the industry and stuff like that. But if I look at like back home, we've got a lot of artists in South Africa that are making, you know, music in their mom's back room. I mean, you started off as one of those artists, Sketchy, right? And I mean, how do we get them to also be able to have access to these tools? Because what I'm thinking of is maybe, you know, artists that are at like, you know, a certain a level in their career might have access to these tools already. But how do we empower those so that they have the running head start?
Access has
interesting.
been something for music that's actually been growing. So if you think about
Access
to creation of music, it's something that's always been growing. So if you think about how there was publishing before there was recorded music rights, right?
Yeah.
So publishing companies came before the record
Yes.
labels. So when recorded music started, you needed to be signed to a record label.
Before you had like the resources to do,
That printed records. That's why they were called record labels. So there's the print records. There was like 5 artists. You know, it's
like it was very selective. Also, there was a big gated process.
Yeah,
And
it was super gated. That went well into like the 90s until you could make music on your computer. When you could make music on your computer, only so many people had computers, but there were a lot more of them than the people that had access to major record labels. Then that progressed, and then from there it went to you can buy like these really cheap sound cards now, and now that's how people can make music in their bedroom. Like that access
what's the
was
sound card?
where you plug in your mic
Yeah.
and you can actually
okay,
record something.
yes,
You can
yes,
plug that
yes.
into your computer. Like all of these kind of things are now cheaper and more accessible. And now we have AI, so now the person doesn't even need to have a laptop.
But
or
then
have
what's
anything.
interesting is that you talk about these things like a sound card, yes, is a piece of infrastructure. Some countries already don't have access to that. So some countries in like, let's say particularly remote countries, third world countries, they already don't have access to that.
Yep.
And that was already probably difficult for them to get access to. Now AI is interesting because it's both helping with less physical infrastructure, but at the same time, this is gated behind two things: knowledge, right, and the base internet infrastructure. And these things are not universal. I mean, if you look at the knowledge in particular, right?
But it's a lot more universal than having to buy a laptop and having
Yeah,
to
For
buy-
sure, but
I
like for sure.
And-
But maybe this is a problem that has been there all the time.
Yeah,
just
it's-
also, let's bring it back to the question. The question is, how do we make kind of the models that you're talking about in AI that can help write music and make music also accessible to those people? Because right now, I mean, how many courses are there, for example, on how to make music with AI? Or how many, because you're talking about like you have a bot that helps you write the lyrics, and you're talking about you don't just add a random prompt into the music, you like actually
Yeah.
have a whole thought out process. I'm saying this is something that like us having been kind of all involved in tech and all involved in music are kind of almost experts in. How do we pass on this knowledge? Because right now maybe the next really big artist is using AI but still only prompting with like, you know, the most basic form.
We opened the company, we wrote on the napkin. On the napkin, it's exactly
have an
for-
AI
to
record
support
label?
to support the artists.
I think there needs to be a lot more education about AI, not only for artists, but for the labels themselves, people
Yes,
that work
definitely.
at the labels. There needs to be more people like yourself coming from an AI background, speaking about this and demystifying
Yeah.
a lot of the
I
preconceptions.
mean, this podcast is part of that story,
Yeah.
right? It is kind
Yeah.
of part of that story.
we need to be able to speak about it more. There needs to be because right now when we just had like a little discussion about the rights and things. Those the people at the very top who are making this legislation don't know the answer themselves,
Yeah.
right? They're making it up as they go. Right now, this is being made up. We're gonna live through the next like 10, 20
And they're going to
years.
make up the legislation keeping themselves in mind.
Yeah, 100%. And right now it's not legal. It's coming from the companies, right? So these companies are going to spend the next 10, 20 years coming up with how to do it. The fact is it's happening. There's like obviously people want to try and stop things or whatever, but there are people that are using it right now, and the best way is whether you want to use it. Like I have songwriting sessions where I have zero AI allowed, right?
Yes.
Because for whatever creative reason we
But
want
that's
to stay
also
away
part
from.
of your process.
Yeah,
right?
it's a
Everyone will
process.
have their own.
But whether you want to use it or whether you don't, you should know about how it's used,
Yes.
how it can be used. Maybe it will help your process, maybe it won't help your process. But people need to understand.
For
and
sure,
learn.
for sure. I mean, it's a tough one, right? And particularly what strikes me from what you were saying, like the process points are excellent. The thing that strikes me a lot is that the legislation's being created today, the controls are being set up today, the agreements are being set up today. And I wonder, of all of the very skilled, very strategic, very expensive caliber people that are in the room negotiating this, how much of them are representing the artists and how much of them are representing where the art form is going?
I mean, I think that's a problem that's been longer
It's been
than
there for
all
long.
three of us have been alive.
For sure. It's been there for long. And it's like, what I would like to see is what you were saying is these anchor artists that drive the industry. What are they doing? Because they have the
The
resources to do
problem
this.
is, you remember earlier when you were saying that when you talk to people in the music industry, they're very emotional because it's their art. It's not only that, it's a business. So the people that have the money and have the control are very cutthroat.
works for them.
Yes.
It works for them as well. The system works for them. The system is not, they've not worked themselves into that point to make the system work better and be more fair.
And
which is
that's
interesting.
why
Maybe.
having artists that like truly understand their own rights, understand, what they should be paid for things, and by using AI kind of makes the playing field more even, because then
Yeah.
you can have an independent artist challenge and question, the things that they're supposed to do without needing necessarily to have the major labels backing.
And that's the exciting part. In there lies the opportunity to create businesses that are for artists,
okay.
right? AI businesses that are for artists, that make artists, that position them well. And it's a big opportunity because AI artistry is increasing. So there's more people. So it's actually, I'm saying there's nothing to be afraid of. Artists should just see this as a time of immense opportunity for them.
Okay. Well, I think on that note, I think we should close the discussion there. But I mean, Kevin, Sketchy, thank you so much for your time. And to everyone watching or listening, please subscribe to the Thinking Out Loud podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, as well as Apple Podcasts. And yeah, let us know in the comments if you have any other things you want us to discuss.
And let us know your thoughts in the comments about what we said.
What else do you want us to talk about as well? I mean, we can talk about what can we talk about? AI in
Okay, I
in the
think
workplace.
we should end that
Also.
right now. End it right now.
Nice one, guys.